Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is the OG Pretty Pink Pilot here officially. I am officially a licensed private pilot, and I felt like what better way to commemorate my special moment than to put you guys on with the tips and the tricks on how I studied for my oral portion of my check ride. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah. So this is the OG binder that I use for my check ride. It has literally everything in it. Like when I went there, he was pretty impressed with my binder. But I started building it at the beginning of the flight journey, and at the end I had all my stuff that I needed for my check ride. So first, you're going to start off with your written. So when you're written, you have the list of codes. I only had 3 because I got a 95. And I still had a 1 hour and 45 minutes, probably like almost 2-hour oral. So yeah, keep that in mind, that even with an almost perfect score, you're going to be in there for a while. So I just, knowing which codes I had got my notebook and wrote them out, because those are like what he really wants to see that you've studied. So right here I have my miswritten questions that correlate with the codes, which also correlates with the ACS. And that is what really guided my, oral prep studying, because this is literally everything you need to know. The whole check ride is based on the ACS, so if you study that ACS, you're a shoo-in to get the license. So yeah, so I just used that to guide my journey, and yeah, I just started at the beginning and went through. One of my best friends through the whole journey would be the ACS library on YouTube. I used that from the beginning, and I just went through and I literally wrote notes on each section of the ACS, and I literally wrote them out. Everything from weather to navigation, just to lay everything out on paper. I just kept rewriting everything over and over again. Even if I wrote it once, I'm gonna write it again and again and again, because then it gets embedded in your brain and you really realize like, oh, okay, like this is why. But yeah, so they had a couple gaps in my training. I had 3 rescheduled check rides, and that's a whole story within itself. But yeah, so when I was back flying for this portion right before my check ride, which was back in like late April and early May, I had went to my CFI and was just like, we're gonna get back flying, because I had my check ride date for initially was June 24th. So I was like, come on, we're gonna start flying and just get back in the role so that he can give me my solo endorsement so that I can just, keep moving forward. So he told me, okay, well, before we fly, you're gonna do a flight plan from LZU, which is in Georgia, to Orlando International. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you being for real? You couldn't be for real. And he was very serious. So I had literally the weekend, I think it was 3 days that I had to do the whole flight plan, get the weather, call a briefer, all of that good stuff, and be ready for him to check it when I got there. But I feel like even though it was very tedious, I definitely saw what he was trying to get at, because I haven't done flight plans in such a long time that doing that extensive one, even though my check ride was very short distance, it gave me the practice that I needed so that I can, be able to do it just with my eyes closed. So yeah, it just helped me keep it fresh in my memory. It was great practice, and ever since then, I was doing flight plans like every week, just to make sure I knew how to find the gallons per hour, and I had no troubles doing everything. So yeah, that is what I did. And on top of that, I had a lot of the knowledge already, because when I had studied it for my written, I really learned it. So I wasn't really that hard trying to memorize everything for the check ride. But the blue book, The blue oral book is your best friend. Bring it everywhere you go. Literally, I kept like my purse and my blue book and a highlighter and these little sticky notes. If your blue book is pretty, you're not doing your job. Like, I had highlighted certain things. I had the sticky notes all around. Like, I had way more than these, but I would like remove them when I got questions right, like back to back to back. So I would use this, and then I would make flashcards off of my blue book. So then I would make the flashcards that would correlate, and yeah, so it was a great, very tedious, but a great way for me to be able to connect everything. Because I feel like the big thing is correlation, like being able to know one topic and how it connects to another. So that is what I did. In addition to those flashcards, I had flashcards from when I had studied for my written. So just like things like hazardous attitudes, airspace, and this was all about the engine. So I would just go through these along with my oral book and then the ones out of my oral book and put it all together to just keep my mind fresh. And then when I had certain topics that I would see that I was constantly like not so proficient in, I would write them down. And I would just make a list of everything that I wanted to go over, make sure that I knew before my check ride. And then I have my oral review guide here, which were certain things, like just everything in this book is just really the things that I was struggling with and that I wanted to make sure I remembered for the check ride. But you know, you can't have all of this knowledge there, so I would just practice it when I was at home or just studying with my instructor. And then the oral prep documents. I have a lot of stuff just like that is really repetitive, but it really all helped. Like, so here are like some of my documents that I had printed just off of like Googling PDF files, like oral prep, and I would highlight certain things because like on each of the documents you usually find like one or two things that are new. So yeah, so this is what it's called. It's called a private pilot cheat sheet, and you just put PDF at the end and I'm pretty sure it'll pop up. And then also I had got this from somebody who took their private check ride already. I had just got it from them and just filled in the little things like this, the ENG airspace. This is the key. This is on YouTube too. Like, this is how, like, you can remember airspace. You have no worries. Like, I'm telling you, memorize this, and you're shooing for your check ride. But it was just, like, little things I would fill in throughout the year. And then I also had radio communications. It wasn't really, like, my problem, but I know each person has their things that they need to work on. And for me, I fly out of a towered airport, but the airport I did my check ride at was not a towered airport. So having, you know, your radio calls, just being able to practice them for towered and non-towered operations is what you want to do. It's definitely what you want to do. It's like you really you prepare for your private check ride and it's all of this knowledge, and you just want to make sure you remember a good, like, you rather know more and him ask you less than you know less and he asks you more. Because even though they don't want you to fail, they're also, you know, they've been doing this for a long time. So they're going to be able to tell if you studied or if you haven't studied. So you want to make sure you're good with that. And I also had, like, scratch paper. Like, I would go, like, after my oral sessions, I would, with my instructor, I would go and I would have a piece of paper and I would write out everything. And I wouldn't like have my notes there because it just defeats the purpose. So I would just write out the things that were just like, I would have to like, the acronyms or just different things that I didn't know or I just wanted to make sure I knew. I would write them down on here and then go back to it later so I could just have everything just laid out for me. I would also use my whiteboard because it was a good way so I could erase everything and not have to keep using a bunch of paper. I use the paper method usually when I'm out somewhere, if I'm studying at a library or something. I'll go ahead and use the paper, but then I would go back Everything is beat up, y'all. Like, but this is how it should be. Because if it's not like this, was you really even doing something? Was you really? I don't think so. But yeah, so this started way back when. You see, it don't even got the cover no more. But yeah, so I have been using this like since I had started flying back in March of 2021. And it literally has everything from steep turn to power on, like just all the information I needed. Like when I learned the reverse region of command, it literally blew my mind. I was like, what? Like it's literally like the biggest gem, but it's something like that's so like simple, and it's one of like the main characteristics when you're flying. But I would go through and I would pretty much correlate the notes that I've already written with the notes that I was continuing to write to make sure it just connected or like used it. So like if my instructor would ask me questions, I would write them down in here, like to fill in the gaps of what I didn't know. It would just be like a bunch of stuff. Like this is at the end with my oral prep, just me writing everything out so I could see it all on paper. And yeah, yes, it's a lot, but it's totally worth it. I'm telling y'all, it is totally worth it. And then I would just do my oral prep by sections like I told y'all. So part A of the ACS, I would go part A, B, C, and I would just do it by myself and then do it with my instructor. So it's like double everything. Like I was just grilling myself. And then I would use my sectional and I would go and I would point stuff out. I actually have this really good document. You could probably find it online because I think I got it from the FAA. It's like the sectional guide. That's what I call it. And it pretty much like labels everything that's on here. It's the key, like literally the key. Like if you just type in, I don't know if you would type in sectional guide, but if you type in like sectional or like, charts, sectional chart key or legend, I'm pretty sure it's gonna pop up. Just always type in PDF because most of the FAA documents are in PDF form. And that's how you know which one is going to be at the top. But yeah, I would just go and I would play the rocket ship game, which is pretty much like if you're standing on the surface all the way up to space, tell me where I would be at from like the surface up. So I would just do that a bunch of times. I would use the legend and I would use the document that I was telling y'all about. And I'll put it all together so I can make sure that I knew all of the stuff on there. Don't get me wrong, I got some stuff wrong still, but I feel like the fact that I studied a lot prohibited me from like not knowing stuff on the check ride. And then like I said, I just do notes on each section and just focus on what I really needed to focus up on. Like I wasn't spending a bunch of time doing things that I've already knew that I knew because it was really just repetitive. I would just focus on the things that I would see like that I would get wrong all the time and just so maximize my timing for everything. And then, and then for systems. Systems is something hard to like want to study, but I did something that made it pretty easy or easier, let me say that. So I have this one paper here, and it was pretty much called my engine blurb. And I really wrote out the whole, like the propeller, the oil system, the engine, the carburetor system, the fuel system, the electrical system, and the brake system. And I would write a little small blurb about everything about that system in layman terms so that I'll be able to explain it to the designated pilot examiner. And then right here you can see your four handle, that's the good stuff. But yeah, so like I would just write it out just so that when he would ask me, I would have all of the knowledge. Like, and he didn't ask me about many systems, but I knew that was a part that I wanted to make sure that there would be no misunderstandings on. So I went ahead and just wrote a blurb and just put everything, all the characteristics, like even if it was a lot, like, for example, the engine, I would say, it has 8 spark plugs, 2 per cylinder, 4 per mag, like things like that, and like dual mags for redundancy and performance, stuff like that. The things that he may not ask, but have it just in case, because it's just a just in case. Like I'd rather be prepared than unprepared, And then the Jason Shepard file, I think everybody knows the book about his oral guide. I used that as well. I just highlighted it on my iPad and I would just write in what I would need to write in. And really everything is the same concept, but it's just the amount of times I did it, I think, that made it beneficial. And also if I didn't know something, I would find it in the reg, because the reg is where everything is housed. So I know if there's a question, there's a reg to back it up. So I would just find the reg so that I knew if I knew the reg, then I wouldn't have a problem, because I'll just be like, oh, I don't know it, but I know where to find it. That's the key. You gotta be resourceful. That's really what it's all about. But yes, I did different oral prep videos, all on YouTube. I probably watched every single last one of them. And yeah, through all of that, I passed the oral part of my exam, and he said, "You ready to go fly?" And I was like, yeah, like that's what I came here for. But yes, you have to, of course, get through the oral portion before you can fly. But yes, that is all my tips and tricks that I use to study for my oral. And if you have any questions, go ahead and comment them below. I'm not an expert, but I can always help where I can. I'm glad you watched my video, and I hope that you go ahead and go watch my actual check ride video that I'll be posting as well, to just get you an idea of both sides, the oral portion and then the flight portion. And then you can put it together and come up with your own ideas. My thing was that when I was looking for different check ride videos, I didn't really see anybody who was actually like explaining what I wanted to know. And that's what my channel is all about. You know, Pretty Pink Pilots, being able to fill in those gaps where I see them. So as I continue to document my journey, I hope that you guys come along with me. And I will, just see you guys next time. Bye.